Imagine stepping into a New York City townhouse in the 1940s and finding it so crammed with junk, newspapers, furnitures, and even pianos that you couldn't even walk through the front door. Imagine tunnels carved through mountains of debris, secret passageways, and deadly booby traps designed to stop intruders. This isn't a horror movie, it's the true story of Homer and Langley Collyer, the most infamous hoarders in American history. We are about to put those hoarding shows that we see on TV to shame today. The Collyer brothers weren't always recluses. In fact, they were born into a wealthy and respected New York family. Their father was a well-known gynecologist, and their mother came from an old, socially prominent family. The two boys, Homer, born in 1881, and Langley, born 1885, were bright and educated. Homer became a lawyer, and Langley studied engineering at Columbia University. They lived in a grand four-story brownstone at 2078 Fifth Avenue in Harlem, which was considered a fashionable neighborhood when they first moved there. But as the years went by, the neighborhood changed, and the once prestigious mansion began to stand out, not because of wealth and elegance, but because of what was happening behind the walls. The brothers never married, never left their family home, and slowly withdrew from society. When their parents died, Homer and Langley remained in the house together. But when tragedy struck, Homer developed serious health issues, eventually losing his eyesight and becoming paralyzed. Langley took on the role of caretaker, but he had some strange ideas about medicine. Convinced that diet could cure everything, he fed his brothers 100 oranges a week. I love oranges, but that's a lot. Along with black bread and peanut butter. He refused doctors and instead collected medical books, convinced he could heal Homer himself. At the same time, both brothers were increasingly distrustful of the outside world. They began collecting and collecting and collecting. Newspapers, instruments, furniture, car parts, you name it. Langley claimed he was saving stacks of newspapers so Homer could one day read them when he regained his sight. But soon the collecting turned into an obsession. By the 1930s, Collyer Mansion had become a fortress of junk. Neighbors reported strange sights. Langley creeping out at night to scavenge trash piles, pushing a baby carriage filled with broken items back to the house. He hauled in everything. Chairs, broken radios, pianos, even an old Model T Ford. Inside, the rooms filled up floor to ceiling with clutter. To move around, Langley created a series of tunnels and narrow passageways, like a rat's maze winding through mountains of debris. But there was more. Terrified of burglars, Langley rigged the house with booby traps, stacks of heavy items set to collapse on anyone who intruded. Their house began to stink, rodents moved in, and neighbors whispered rumors, but no one really knew what was happening inside. On March 21st, 1947, police received a call. Someone reported a foul odor and suspected something was wrong at the Collyer Mansion. When officers arrived, they couldn't even get through the front door. It was blocked by piles of junk. They tried forcing their way inside, but found themselves climbing over mountains of trash, with walls of newspapers towering above. Progress was painfully slow. The odor grew stronger. Finally, after hours of digging and making a chilling discovery, the body of Homer Collyer. Homer had died sitting in a chair, dressed in a tattered bathrobe. He had been dead for several days, maybe even weeks. But where was Langley? The search continued. Police, sanitation crews, even construction workers were called in to dig through the hoard. Truck after truck hauled away debris. Over the weeks that followed, workers removed more than 140 tons of garbage from the house. 25,000 books, baby carriages, bowling balls, human organs preserved in jars, half a dozen pianos, and yes, parts of an old Model T Ford. But Langley, nowhere to be found. 3 weeks later, searchers uncovered Langley's body. It was just a few feet from Homer, but he hadn't died of natural causes. He had been crushed by one of his own booby traps. Investigators believe Langley was crawling through a tunnel to bring food to his brother when a pile of debris collapsed on him, Pinned down, he suffocated. Homer, blind and helpless, died of starvation soon after. The house had literally killed them both. The Collyer brothers instantly became legends. Their deaths shocked the world and fascinated the press, who painted them as eccentric recluses destroyed by their own compulsions. Their names entered pop culture. Collier's mansion became a term used by New York firefighters to describe dangerously cluttered homes. The house itself was eventually torn down, but the story remains one of New York City's strangest urban legends. On one hand, the Collyer story is a cautionary tale about isolation, mental illness, and obsession taken to the extreme. It's creepy, tragic, and almost unbelievable. On the other hand, it left behind a legacy. Today, their story is often used to raise awareness about hoarding disorder, and a condition that wasn't even officially recognized in their lifetimes. It's a tale of wealth to ruin, genius to madness, and brothers who lived and died trapped by their own possessions. And I'll tell you, as someone with ADHD that can get addicted or obsessed with stuff, like this story hits close to home, because I do have to be careful about not starting to make these collections or buying things compulsively where it just starts taking up space. But what are your thoughts about this one? It's really sad, and they did it to themselves, and they just really couldn't help themselves. But I would love to hear your comments.